Well, hello there, everyone, and welcome to Virtual Collage Jam for, what is it, March 10th. Great to have you along, and I don't know, something about the lighting looks way too dark. It looks like anyway, it is what it is. Trust me, it's not, I'm not actually sitting here in semi-darkness, but for some reason my camera is registering it that way, so anyway, tech, eh? So, yeah, so we have trash your treasure, or one person's trash is another person's treasure, or vice versa. And oftentimes as collage artists, we make treasure out of what other people think is trash, right? So that's kind of fun. Someone throws stuff away in their blue box or gives stuff they don't want to us to, and we go, hey, no, that looks great, right? So you can spin it that way. You could also just use images actually of trash and images of treasure. That's something I had been thinking about until I realized my printer, my last minute attempt to print a few things to collage with, and it was out of ink and I was out of time. So I'll be going to plan B. But, and as always, our prompts are optional. So if you have an idea that you want to work on that is different, that's totally cool. The main thrust of Virtual Collage Jam continues to be, and always has been, to spend time collaging together in collage community. So, of course, it's interesting to see in our Virtual Collage Jam group on Facebook what other people do with the same prompt. So that can be a fun reason to work with the prompt, but not every prompt is going to suit you. So, of course, work with the ones that you like, and feel free to ignore the ones that don't seem to speak to you. So that said, I'm going to say hi to people in the chat. So hello, everyone. Hey, Jane. Welcome back. I know you couldn't make it last week or last time, a couple of weeks ago, so great to have you back. So Jane asks, can I elaborate on Monday morning classes teaching at Nielsen Park? In April, abstract figures. So is it 3 Mondays or 4? I think one of the Mondays is a holiday. So I guess that would be Easter, would it be? So there are 3 Mondays, and they are full days, so that's actually a benefit for being a collage artist, right? So or working, this is collage and mixed media, so you can incorporate whatever media you want, but that means you can show up, get set up, and work from 9:30 to 4 with a little lunch break. So I wanted to do full days if possible for that exact reason. So yeah, so it's 3 days with one missing. Hey, Val, how are you? Great to have you here. This prompt is made for you, Val. This is your home and native land, isn't it? So yeah, that's perfect. You just have to do what you do, and you're in this prompt land. So hey, Lisa. Lisa says, just want to say hi, can't stay, but I'll watch as much as I can and catch the replay. Totally cool, Lisa, of course, understood. And we're glad to have you here for however long and suits you, or your schedule allows. Too many L's there. So yeah, that's awesome. Janice waves, and hello, Janice, welcome aboard. And hey, Rebecca, nice to have you here too. If anyone else is joining us, feel free to say hi in the chat so that we know you're here. Even if you don't like to engage with the chat too much, which I understand, especially if you're busy collaging, right? So, but it's always nice to sort of know who's here, and it's kind of like we get to, if we were in person, we get to look around the room and see, oh yeah, so-and-so, way hi there. So yeah, so if you can say hi in the chat, that'd be awesome. No pressure though. If you want to remain anonymous, you're completely welcome. So Janice says, cleaned strawberries yesterday and can't bear to dispose of the paper towel. Yes, I know exactly that kind of paper towel. Such beautiful patterns left on it. Yeah, you might want to scan it. I don't know if you have that, but if you're just going to incorporate it, just be aware that, there are lots of kinds of things out there that are kinds of materials that are more ephemeral than others. And I think most berry juices are quite ephemeral. So, you might make a nice collage with it. And even like a few weeks later, it'll be like, oh, that isn't what it was like originally. So, and it's often like that even when it dries, right? Like when it's wet, it's got that such great color, and then it dries and it's like, well, that's not as nice. And then like a few weeks later, it's like, that's even less nice. But so in that case, like it might be worth next time taking like a photograph of it or scanning it if you have that option, so that you can play with the way it is when it's fresh, right? So Rebecca says, thank you, Rebecca, for reminding people to click the thumbs up like button, so that might as well get it done now, because as she rightly always points out, that helps other people find us. It helps the more people who like the video. It means it's more likely to be in people's feeds. So we might find some additional collage artists from elsewhere to join us, which would be nice. Rebecca says, maybe if you use lots of medium to cover it. So yeah, I think that would make it more durable. I'm not sure whether it would do it entirely, but it might actually do a couple of things, right? It would lengthen the amount of time, because I think medium is still somewhat porous to air, believe it or not, even though you'd think coating it with medium. But I think it definitely would preserve it a lot longer. And it would also probably richen the colors again, maybe a little bit more back towards the sort of juiciness that they were originally when they were wet. So, hey, Michelle. Awesome. Michelle, Michelle is a pretty frequent student of my classes, but Michelle, is this the first time that you've joined us for Collage Jam? I think it might be. Or you've been here infrequently at most, but so it's great to have you on here. It's awesome. Thank you. So I'm going to switch to my overhead camera, and it sounds like my printer is actually printing some things, which would be good. Awesome. Michelle says first time. So yes, welcome. Everyone say hi to hi to Michelle and welcome her aboard. That's great to have you here. Michelle takes a bunch of my courses at Nielsen Park, and some of my own offerings as well. And she's a Canadian who's living in Georgia, or sorry. And she and her sister, who's here in Canada, will often take my courses concurrently, and they get to see each other and be in the same course when even when they're hundreds of miles apart, which is so great. I love that. So all right, so we're going to go black for just a minute, because I got to move the camera to the overhead position, and the way YouTube is, or the way the software, or the lack of software, means I can't switch between cameras, so I have to use the one all the time. So it's going to now move to the overhead camera. So it's going to go black, but it's momentary, and then we'll get this party started. And of course, I say we'll get this party started, but I bet a bunch of you guys are already hard at it collaging, so that's awesome. If any of you sort of already have an idea for something, some way of working with the theme, trash or treasure, let us know, because I'd be curious if you have an idea. Of course, you don't have to. You could start and find it as you go. Or heaven knows I do that a lot already. Just diving in. All right. Apparently my printer is printing. It hasn't run out of ink yet, so that's good. It just took its time thinking about it. Well, it certainly didn't do a good job with that print, but oh well. That one, it did great. So, oh dear, we've got like focus issues. This camera really struggles sometimes. I think it's time to get a new one. It has autofocus, but it's so I'm just trying to bring the autofocus down to the work surface by moving my hand slowly down to here. So hopefully that works, but all right, so because I don't have a plan, I mean, I had a few ideas. One idea was to do like a trash can shape, but using like jewels from ads for jewelry. But I'm not sure I like that, but I don't know. I think I'm just going to start moving things around and looking at things and thinking about them to see what suggests itself. So I don't know if you, hopefully Zoom is, no, it's not Zoom, so it won't be screening that out. That beeping in the background is my printer giving up the ghost until it has ink. So what I've got is what I've got. So I'll just go see if it managed to print something else in a minute or two. I've never been a big fan of jewelry. I shouldn't say that. I guess I like more clean minimalist stuff, so I don't like jewelry with lots of doodads to it. But it certainly is there's no shortage of it, and no shortage of pricey items and appetite for stuff that is made out of precious materials. And like there's a great example right there. So, but it's never been my interest. But because it's so expensive, of course, they have to have lots of marketing for it. So manufacturer interest and demand. But it's just personally, it's just not where I put my values. My values are elsewhere. Kim and I lost our original, this is pretty funny. Kim and I lost our original wedding rings. We both wore them for a while, and then we'd wear them sometimes, and then we'd sometimes wear them occasionally, and then we couldn't find them. So a couple of years ago, we got new ones. yeah, I'm blanking on the name, but it's like it's machined out of like a solid piece rather than formed into a circle. And they come in different metals. Obviously, there are some more expensive than others. This one's iron, which I kind of love. And then I also have a copper one, and Kim has a black metal of some kind that isn't iron. Iron is kind of it's dark, but it's got a sort of a nice sort of sheen to it. But you can see it's very minimal, and it's not gold, silver, platinum, any of those things, right? So because for us it's the significance rather than the material it's made out of. And there goes my focus again. Wow. All right, come on, you can do it. The action is not up here, it's down here. It's gonna get old fast if I have to do this repeatedly, because anyway, fingers crossed. So I'll check in with your comments about how you're approaching it in a minute or two. Meanwhile, I'm gonna just flip through a few things and just find a few things. I don't know, maybe there's something in the fact that of different values, of sort of not valuing these material manifestations of so-called beauty and a beauty for adornment, and valuing other things that has a trash and treasure aspect. There is some jewelry that I really, really like, that's artisanal, and sometimes it's really, really expensive, but I value it for the craftsmanship and the aesthetic. And it just happens that my aesthetic does not include the vast majority of what seems to be available and popular, and that's fine by me. And I can't afford most of it anyway. So, but it's not. I don't feel that is a that is not a hardship. Let's put it that way, because it's just not. It's not that important to me. This looks like a really great few images here, so I'm going to grab those. And we're going to see what my printer has decided to print. All right, so cool. It has managed to print this one very juicy image that has, I printed it half size and full size. It's actually quite beautiful picture of plastic bottles because of the colors, right? They're beautiful. It's kind of like, this is already kind of articulating, like, when I look at this, the colors are so beautiful, the shapes are beautiful, and then you have the flip of like what it actually is, this signifier of our obsession with plastic. So, and I see some aluminum in there as well. So these things that are such a problem environmentally. So let's see what you guys are saying. Val says she's still using up scraps from her Februlage collages. Yes, because you really blitzed it. You were done early, right, Val? So that's, yeah, I bet you have a lot of scraps, right? So that's perfect. Hey, Margaret. Margaret Buckworth is joining us. Nice to have you along, Margaret. She says, hello, I saw a jelly print demo using squashed pop cans. Looks so cool. Yes, if they're good and flat, I mean, I guess you have to watch it damaging the gel plate with the sharp edges, but some pop cans that have been squashed like repeatedly under traffic, they're pretty flat, but they still have that really interesting pattern. So yeah, that'd be great. And Philippa says, hi, everyone. I'm here now. Hello, Philippa. Nice to have you along. That's awesome. Rebecca, speaking of rings, says, ours are wood. Mine needs refinishing, which is why I never wear it, but I love it. Yeah, that's a beautiful material, isn't it? It's not going to be cold. It's going to be inherently beautiful rather than it's about the beauty of it than necessarily the craftsmanship rather than the ascribed value of things like gold or silver. So yeah, that's great. So refinishing, you could probably just do something that's very skin friendly, like we have like I forget what it is, but it's like used for treating our wooden cutting boards, and probably just like rubbing a little of that into it, and you know, if it's made for wooden cutting boards, it should be one would hope it's good and non-toxic. So, and at least a ring is relatively small, right? It's not a big job to rub something into it. So I hope, but I know I have like a list longer than both of my arms of things that I need to get to. And a bunch of them just never got to. So I understand the, oh yeah, I got to get to that eventually, but. I'm thinking that sort of playing with some jewels and with this image and maybe putting them in amongst that might be interesting, at least as a starting point. So I think that's where I'm going to start, just to get the engine running. So and as always, I like to have, I don't even know why it's so important to me, but I like to have like a color background of some kind, or you've seen me start with a black oftentimes. I think today I'll start with this green. I don't like it picks up on the green of that bottle, obviously. Oh, and I'm just looking at the yeah, the color balance is really off on my camera, which is weird because it usually isn't. So I don't know what's up, but this is not the muted green that I'm seeing on my screen. It's actually like a basic, strong secondary green. And that's actually a kind of green that I don't use very often. So I thought, well, I'll try that. I'm madly trying to find my scissors on my table. Oh, it's pretty funny. And this piece has a cutout of it from some other project, but I'm not going to worry about that, because I'm just going to cover it over anyway, probably. So just start with that. So I've been just beginning to liaise with Station Gallery in Whitby and about an upcoming show. So I think the dates aren't quite firm yet, but it's looking like I will have a show there of collage, naturally, over the summer months. So it looks like early to mid-June through to mid-August. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm also thinking that's pretty soon. Like I emailed the curator, Olex, a few weeks ago, and he was in the middle of something else. I said, because he had said, let's do something this year. And I emailed him and I said, okay, so I'm planning my year. When were you thinking? And then it took a little while for him to get back to me. And then he said, okay, so I'm thinking these times. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty soon. That's not the fall. That's so I am going to be one busy little collager because the artist project is in early May. And I think I've mentioned on social media that I'm behind. I did some collaging last year in the summer, but most of it was for my Union Hotel project. So I had this idea in the back of my head that, oh yeah, I did quite a few collages. And then when I looked through, it's like, all right, most of them were for them, not. So I'm not going to use anything I used for them. That's work I made for them. So so I'm madly catching up. So, but the good thing is, if I get a bunch of work done in time for the artist project, which is in early May, I'll have work that I can then show in the exhibition. But it sounds like he wants to give me their big room, which is nice. They have a really nice, big, contemporary looking gallery. And so I obviously want to do it justice. So that's exciting. And I wanted to share that with you, but I also wanted to ask you guys if any of you have any irons in the fire for your own shows, or have you entered any opportunities like for residencies, for group shows, for juried shows? Because I kind of feel that like one of the things that this group is good for is building our engagement with collaging, but also like spreading the word about how great collage is, right? And I know that many of you have entered like the aired gallery collage juried shows and various local ones. So if you've got something an iron in the fire in that regard, or maybe more than one, let us know in the comments so we can support you and encourage you. These 3 rings, I have to decide this bracelet here or these rings, because they're on the 2 sides of the same thing. I'm thinking for what I think it's the rings, but it wasn't an easy decision. Let's put it that way. So, but because I'm thinking I'm going to meld them in with this, I think there might be kind of really fun to have them in here. Like there are similar colors in among these pop cans and similar sort of shiny reflective qualities. So I think they could get in there very stealthily, which I like that idea. So I'll obviously takes a little time to cut them out. And this is the cover stock, so it's actually nice and substantial. a lot of magazine paper is very, very thin once you get inside. But this stuff is very sturdy in this particular fold out for this jewelry company. And so I'll check in with comments in a few minutes. And that one wasn't particularly tricky to cut out. Not too many details. That's kind of nice. Nice change. I think these rings, the silhouette is less complex than the interior, so that's nice. You know, it'd be cool. Of course, this happens once I start working. I start thinking, right? And you guys probably have that same thing happen to you as you get started with something. But so I'm cutting out these rings, and I was thinking, oh, like, oops, sorry, get the glare down. This ring, if this ring were like this big, right? It has all these facets that I could cut out little holes, then show other trash through. And also there's something like really cool about a ring being huge. So, because like this is larger than life, right? So it shows the product well, but can you imagine seeing that actually like 10 inches tall? I certainly can. And then going into all the little facets of the jewels and cutting out little windows that are facet shaped and then having other things show through. So that's an idea that probably I won't do right now because I need to go make the copy and everything, and print it. But that might be a future idea. These rings are slightly funny shape because they're resting on these sort of plinths, so you don't see the entire ring. But that's fine. It will I'll be able to make it look like it's in amongst the trash, and maybe the edges are getting cut off by a bottle or can or something. So that's actually not an issue. At least I don't anticipate it to be. All right, so I'll get this ring cut out, and I'm almost there, and then I'll see what you guys are saying in the comments. There we go. And I just don't want to lose track of, right, this one. That's pretty big, but yeah, that might be more than I'm up for because there's a lot of little detail to cut out. So, and you know, of course I don't have to cut out everything in there, but that's sort of the way my DNA is. Like either I don't use it or I cut out everything. that's not helpful. That's sort of all or nothing thinking, but that's sort of, yeah, not sure about that. Meanwhile, in comment land, Michelle says, I collected items from the ground the last time I was out golfing with hopes to create a Kurt Schwitter's type piece. So we'll see where that takes me. That's perfect. Kurt Schwitter's work is perfect trash and treasure, right? Because he worked primarily with stuff he picked up on the street. And so it had sometimes it was like beat up or folded or damaged, stained. And yet he made this like amazing aesthetic work. So yeah, he and Robert Rauschenberg, who's sort of in his footsteps in his own different way, 20 or 30 years later, both of them are really great trash and treasure artists. And there are plenty of others too. So Jane says, I've been taking a break from shows. Carla Garnett at Air ticked me off last show. Oh dear, I'm sorry to hear that. I got told both were accepted, but when the show was released, only one appeared. When I asked why, I was ignored totally. That's unfortunate. Yeah, that is annoying. It might have been an oversight, it could have just been a little error, but unless they answer you and say that and with a little apology, it just makes it worse, right? You don't hear anything back. So yeah, that's no good. I'm sorry. Margaret says, I'll be doing an artist in residence at Richmond Hill group of artists. Oh, awesome. Dates to be announced. Last year was one of the ladies from your collage jam came and collaged with you. Wow, that's awesome. And is that in their building that is right beside the park? I think it must be. And that's a really nice location. I taught a workshop there, and like that would be a great place to hang out and do a residency. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, don't worry about the typos. It's chat. I was able to find my way through, so no worries. Val says, not sure if anyone has heard of Cut Me Up magazine. No, I haven't either, Val. So Cut Me Up magazine. It has collages that you cut up and make new collages and submit them, and is quite fun and challenging. That is so cool. So something that I think tickles a collage artist's fancy is like taking one thing and transforming it into another. And so working with someone else's collage and then transforming it additionally, I think that's kind of a cool idea. So great. Awesome. I'm going to look that up. Margaret says, I have art up on the Markham Group of Artists website. Awesome. Congratulations for their digital spring enchantment show, mostly collage. Yay, representing collage. Thanks, Margaret. And Philippa says, I presently have 5 pieces in the Markham Group of Artists online show. So probably the same one as Margaret. So that's awesome. I've taught at Markham Group of Artists almost since I began teaching. It was one of the first places I did a workshop. And the group has gone through some, it's been really strong and then it struggled sometimes. I'm really glad they're doing an online show like that. That means because it makes it a little easier for people to submit. So yeah, that's awesome. I'm really glad to hear it. So, and Margaret says, me too, Philippa. Yeah, exactly. So Margaret says, last one, sorry, but this one she's excited about. It's far away. Oh, that's awesome. June 26th, 2026, sorry. I have an artist in residency in France. Oh, that's so cool. So what are you going to be doing, Margaret? Collage or mixed media, or does it, and how, yeah, more details, please. When you get a moment. How long is it? Is it open-ended? Does it have a theme? That's so cool. Philippa says, I also have a piece in another online show in book form for fiber art. Fiber arts ×2. Oh, that sounds interesting. I'd love, where is that? Like, obviously it's online, but is it a show? Like, is it an organization in Canada? Or, yeah, that sounds great. Jane says she does have something and about to have another at Swansea Town Hall in BWV. Sorry, I don't know what BWV is, but that's awesome. Swansea is that the, like, Swansea in the West End of Toronto, or is it Swansea in England? Bloor West Village. Okay, right. So it's the West End one. Yeah, that makes more sense. I'm in a art group there Thursday morning, so that's awesome. And Margaret says of her residency in France, mixed media and collage, 2 weeks, very open-ended. There will be 19 other artists ranging from poetry, music, and visual arts. That's really great, because you get to see and talk with other people, and like a solo residence or a residence with maybe 1 or 2 other people, great too, but like having a wide range of creatives there, it's going to make it so interesting. And you'll meet people from different backgrounds, creative people from different countries and backgrounds, and that's so cool. I'm jealous. I'm also really proud of everyone that they're getting their work out there. So yeah, well done, everybody. That makes my heart happy. So getting back to my my little trash or treasure thing here. I have a couple of thoughts, but I don't know whether they're what I'm going to do or not. This image is so wall to wall. I think it makes more sense than trying to cut out different pieces to, well, I don't know. What I want to do is I want to mess with this a little bit. So I think what I'm going to do is start cutting out selective pieces that I could either move around then, or show things from below. So I think I'll just do that now and just see where it goes. That's that's so great hearing about everyone's all those different opportunities you're pursuing. That's great. So good. So most of the things I'm cutting out are incomplete, which is fine. I think that actually makes it more interesting. whether or not I move them or just show something through, or both. Like that's something that I also really love about collage is that, so I cut this shape out, right? I will have the thing I cut out, which is the bottle, and I can put it somewhere else or use it in a different way. But I also have the negative, the hole that is left. And so using both of those in interesting ways it's like both sides of the cut, right? It allows you to use have two creative opportunities from one cutting out. So you guys have seen me use like the negatives from around figures in my collages, and this is sort of that same idea, but in this case with bottles. So it's an interesting thing to wonder about, and I don't think I'm going to worry about it. But for instance, this bottle here is a clear plastic one, so it's showing reflection. Excuse me, reflections and colors of what's around it. So if I cut that out and move it, those things won't apply as much. I'm not sure whether that's something I'm going to worry about, but it's something I'm aware of. So, but I think it's fine. I think I'm not going to worry about it. And the reason I'm not worrying about it is that sort of worrying about something that is about keeping something as realistic as possible, and I'm trying to do something more creative. So sometimes it's really beneficial to know what makes something look convincing, like it looks like something, and then to harness that. And then sometimes it's not important. So I think it's something you have to sort of ask yourself each time. Like for instance, there are collage artists that I really admire, like Patrick Bremer and Derek Gores, where they will make images of. They tend to make people most often, but they're made up of stuff like this, so or any other things, but they're not. They're fragments that they've then carefully put together to make them look like a person, but it's made up out of snippets of ads, text, other images. And so that takes a lot of skill, and it's about being as convincing as possible on the person. But then when you get close, you realize it's made up out of whatever, right? So that's an example where being well aware of reflections and shadows and values is really important, right? So it just depends on the piece. All right. Sorry, guys.